welcome to the Creator Show. Now let's get into it. Hey, everybody! I am back. I apologize. The sound. There was no sounds. But we're gonna look back when I get my studio and I have my show. We're gonna look back and laugh. From the room to the studio. But like I said, so this week, I went to see Mike. Real good movie. I give it a strong. I give it a 7 out of 10. It was some things that could have been done better, but who am I to? It's just my opinion, my review. It was really good though. It's a lot of things that I did not know about Michael Jackson, but it's a good thing that they did focus, on Michael Jackson. Like really watching it showed that he was like really a star. He was a true visionary, and he knew his worth. He definitely knew his worth. But let's get into the casting. When I say his nephew, hold on. Let's say, let's get into like I said, go back before I get to talking about his nephew. Let me pull up the casting so I make sure I pronounce everybody's name correctly. When I say that, I would say yes, even though I gave it a strong 10. I give it, like I said, I gave it a 7. It was some things that could have been done better, but that's just me as a movie watcher. That, things could, done better. So we are going to get into the acting. Coleman Domingo. When I say he played the mess out of Joe, he played, oh my God, if you closed your eyes, you would have thought that was Joe Jackson. I was like, OMG. And then also, Nia Long, she definitely did a good job playing Katherine Jackson, you know. And, you saw her here and there. And like I said, just the way they had down packed, how they, their voices, their demeanors. I was like, they did they thing when it came to this casting. Will it be a movie that? Because I know some movies that I will go see again. It's definitely not a movie that I mean, some people may go see it twice. I know it's definitely not a movie that I will go see twice. But like I said, give it a 17. But back to the casting before I get sidetracked, because y'all know I definitely get sidetracked. So we had let's see, we had young Michael, the guy that played young Michael, Giulino. I hope I said it right. Giulino Valdi. When I say he sounded like when I say everybody sounded like the casting. Oh, and I'm about to definitely repeat myself. When I say you can literally close your eyes, they sound exactly like who they were meant to play. That's why I say, as I always say, the casting was chef's kiss. But the young man that played young Michael, like I said, you close your eyes, you would think you was listening to a young Michael Jackson. When them dance moves, oh my gosh, they had it down. It's been a minute since I've seen a movie, a biopic that they had it to a T. And you, like I said, when you close your eyes, you can just hear it and you would think it's them. That's why I said acting is definitely a art form. It's definitely a difficult art form. But like I said, I say go see it. I definitely go see it. I say definitely go see Michael. and it helped me like truly understand. It will definitely help you understand the way Michael was and why the way he was. I didn't even know that when he got burnt. I'm not trying to spoil it, but I did not know when he got burnt, he got a loss. I think if I'm not mistaken, he got a lawsuit from Pepsi when he got burned. And he told his manager to, send it to the burn unit. I didn't know that. I didn't know another thing. I didn't even know he was like really charitable. I knew he like really loved kids, but that movie showed that he really loved kids, and just not knowing his childhood, but seeing his childhood, it showed how Joe was. It didn't, hide nothing. It didn't hide nothing. What people already knew and whatnot. And, I can kind of see why Michael, the way he was. And I said, he really didn't have much of a childhood, but I recommend it. Like I said, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's not something that I will, it's definitely not, it's definitely not a movie that I will go see again. So I been in this, to the next point. I've been in a 6-week class called The Birthing Room, and it's led by Prophetess Dr. Julitha Porter. When I say I'm seeing, it has been hard, but I am seeing a definite change in me. And it's been hard because, like you say, once get rid, when you get that you come into your awakening and that shift happens, that old life is going to definitely be tugging and pulling at you, your old habits and whatnot. But so to break it out, it's a 6-week program and we already in 3 weeks, and I'm seeing like a major difference in how I move, how I show up in the world. And that's basically what it is. It's showing you, the class is helping you through a birthing process, whether it's a project or it's just a new you, and that's what I love or whatever. But my experience so far has been, like I said, it's great. I've seen a major change in myself. And when I say that first night, like I said, I really didn't know what I was getting into, but knowing how Dr. Porter is, I knew I was going to get the help that I need. But of course, when you try something new for the first time, you just like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And that first night, when I say I'm an already emotional person, but when you struck a nerve and hit that nerve, I'm gonna cry. And I know it was definitely needed. And I say I had to cut that. Like I say, I don't be like in there crying in front of people. And I know I had to give me some tissue. I was snotting and everything, but I know, you know, that was a good cry. That was a good release. And I know it was needed because I was like, and that whole night, I slept like a baby. And I definitely know and like I said, I like how she breaks it down. Of course, it's the birth room, and she breaks it down as you're being pregnant. And I like how, she's taking us each week, taking us through the birthing process. And that's what I love about it. Cause, sometimes you get in these classes and, they make it a strong title like that. And they make it a strong title and it don't be what you think it is. But when I say it is what it is, it is what it is. And, I can't wait we got 3 more weeks. Well, actually, this week will be the 4th week. And then after that, we have we have 2 more weeks. And then we'll be done. And like I said, I see a major difference in where I'm going. Because like I said, when you're transitioning from the old to the new, from what's familiar to what's unfamiliar, it is like so hard because old habits, you're going to get tested and you're going to get tried to see, have you really changed? Or, have you really are you, not have you really changed, but are you really doing the work? And, sometimes, you fall back in old habits, but I've been doing great in trying to, not do that. So, to this episode is Who's That Girl? This is basically question and answer. So if you have any questions about me, this is just for me to introduce myself, for people to, it's a fun way for people to get to know me, because I know people get to see me on social media and whatnot. But just to introduce myself, my name is Amari Renee, but I go by, most people know me by Half Pint the Creator. I'm a creative. I'm multi-talented, what they say, multi-hyphenate. I'm a creative. I design. I'm a social media manager. Um, it's just so much that I do. That's why I just rather say I'm a creative. And as you see, I'm a podcast host. Just to get started, for those that don't know, I started podcasting 2017. And if I can remember, my first show was called Young, Ambitious, and Free. And I do have an episode that I briefly talk about it. And yep, I started in 2017, and I stopped because, like I said, I didn't have the confidence that I didn't have the confidence that I have now to be on camera every Sunday. And I just was like, you know what? And I think for me, and I kind of knew it's my purpose, but back then I really didn't know what I knew now. And it's definitely been a process. And I knew I wasn't ready back then, because I probably would have, I was definitely ahead of my time when it came to this, but I didn't know what I was doing. I knew to buy a mic, and I had talked about it in my pilot episode. And I knew I had a mic, a computer, and plugged it in. I had a plug and play at the time. I didn't, with this mic, I had the XLR, and I have a plug and play. First mic was a plug and play. I had my laptop. Before I even got into I didn't stream it. I just plugged it in to my laptop USB, and that was it. And then now I have a whole soundboard. I've done a lot of research this time around, and now I've added streaming. So it's very, it's very cool to see where I am now, because I was like, I didn't expect to, you know, be where I am. And I don't think nobody really expects to be where they are. Expects to be where, hey, Miss Nedra. I don't think people expect to be where they are, because, we play it small. And I know that's what I did. I played it small, and I did not expect for it to be where it is now. And like I said, I'm going back in, hopefully by the summertime. I've been working on revamping my store. So merch will be back. I had to clear out inventory and whatnot. And hopefully this summer I'll be definitely reopening my website so you can purchase merchandise, because I had to go through and redo a lot of stuff. But like I said, like I'm podcaster. I do a plethora of things. But just to give, people, this would be a chance for anybody who have had questions to ask me anything. And like I said, I'm a creative. I also write. Like I said, I've been writing since I was a kid. Actually, to be honest with you, I started writing poetry before I started writing like scripts and stuff. Before I even knew that was a thing. And let me see. And I first wrote my first script, I think I was like in high school, and it was a competition. I never forget it. It was a competition for HBO. And of course, it was unfamiliar. And I got scared, and I never turned in the scripts. And sometimes I reflect back and thinking, like, what if I would have like turned what and especially if I won, especially if I had like won the competition, where would my life be? But sometimes, you know, the Most High puts you, you have lessons to learn along the way. So, of course, you be like, what happened? What if? What if? But now I'm at that point, where I don't be like, what if now? Things happen when they're, supposed to happen. Like I said, I do design. One thing, I do graphic design. And one thing I've always said, I do not, like me, I'm not a graphic person. And I knew it was part of my purpose when, a part of my assignment, when I was asked to, you know, design, can you do this? And I was like, no, knowing I could do it. But I was like, I was running away from being a graphic designer. I guess I would say I do graphics. Let's just say that I do it from time to time, because I don't want to take away from people who really do it like full time. I say I do graphics. I don't want to say I don't. Let's take that back. I don't want to say I do graphics. I do it from time to time. I don't want to have that label of graphic designer, but it's something I do from time to time because I really don't like it. Just like photography. I do photography. I do videography. I do all that, but my strong suit is videography. But photography, I do also do that from time to time. That's just not, it's just not, as they would say, that is just not my ministry. But I have been doing this since I really took it serious in when the pandemic happened, 2020, because I actually went to school. I graduated from Full Sail University, and I started in 2020. Didn't know what I was getting into because I got I took the accelerator route, and I didn't know what accelerator mean. I didn't have nothing to do, and makes sense, accelerated. And I didn't know the process of accelerated in college. And I was like, okay, 4-year degree in 2 years. And then on top of that, like, it was hands-on at that. And then at that time, when things started to go back open, I started back working. So then on top of that, I was at school. I was in school. Good thing it was online. Good thing it was online because being on campus would not have worked for me and working at the same time. I know a lot of people do it, but I was online and I was thankful I was online, and I was like, what have I got myself? Because I wanted to give up. In the midst of that, I lost my grandpa in 2021. I think it was, yeah, 2021. And that made it even worse. So I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was in school, like I said, working, and I was like, that just shattered like everything because I lost my grandpa. That's like my father. And losing him, but knowing him, I know he would have wanted me to press for it. And I did. And I ended up graduating in 2022. And in the midst of that, I started, my film company, which was Control Vision, which I started at that time. It was Control Vision, which I started with my brother, Brandon. And then I worked on a short film called When the Mind Breaks, which it was dealing about therapy. And then that took a, halt. And then I think it was like about 2 years. And then I brought it back. And then I rewrote the script. And then I brought it back. And then now I filmed it, which I'm working on. Anybody knows, in the midst of me trying to film, I end up packing up and moving to South Carolina and to get a fresh start, a new slate. And I was beating myself up. I was like, girl, you done left you left, you got a film undone. And I just was like, I was literally like beating myself up because I was like, like I said, I just packed up, left, film. And I was not only while I was filming, I was working. And the job that I was at wasn't the best. It was not conducive to my mental health. So I just left, I saw opportunity to leave and, do something different and something better that was, better for my mental. And then now the film will definitely it's being worked on. It's that thing of being in film. It takes its time because like I said, I want to do the film right. I want to do it. It's actually, working on making it episodal and, doing it that way. And, you know, that process being, that filming process is like tedious, especially when you're out of town and you trying to, make things work. And with me working, it's just, it's all about balance, and I'm finding a balance to, not start, finding a balance, not starting new projects, but, redoing my own projects. Like I said, I do have books that, things that I have postponed. Like I said, when things become unfamiliar, when you do things that you've never done before, it's scary. But it's worth it. It's all up to how are you going to, do it. Cause it was nerve wracking. And then on top of that, I started, becoming a social media manager, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I've learned you get when the Most High gives you the provision and give you the provision, it's gonna be He's gonna, it's going to be. Let me take that back. When you get the provision, it's going to be taken. It's going to be provided for. Your vision, your vision is going to be provided for, and so I have definitely been provided for through this process. Your dreams. I've learned that idea, those dreams that you dream, those are not put on your heart for a reason. I've learned that for me, it is not for a reason. I mean, it's not for a reason. It's for a reason. It's like you're getting a blueprint to your future life. And once I, started to understand the blueprint, not only is the blueprint, you get little nuggets. Or I call like what people call signs, I call them little nuggets. And I was like, I just thought about that. That's why I say things just don't happen for a reason. And I'm glad that I am able to be in a space now versus back then where I couldn't do as much, but now I can, I can maneuver and do things the way I want to, the way I want to do them. And whatnot, because like I said, it's definitely hard when you're working for some people. And like I said, and another thing to add, looking back, this was definitely something that I've prayed for. Things that I've prayed for, I'm seeing them from just simply having peace, simply just giving me, support, simply giving me just little thing. Like I said, sometimes material, I pray for the material, but sometimes the material for me, the material has not showed up yet. It's always been the little things to see, how are you going to handle, you pray for peace. Okay, I gave you peace. How are you going to handle that? Because sometimes when you're so used to chaos and you get peace, you sitting over there, you looking like, okay, it's too quiet, you know? But it's what you pray for. And I have to be telling myself, this is what you wanted. You wanted peace. You wanted chaos. I'm giving you peace. And, taking away those people that did not belong, who did not belong in my life. Cause you have to learn everybody can't go with you. I'm that person. I believe in that was my problem. I wanted everybody to go with me. And of course, everybody can't go, everybody can't go with you. And that's what I've learned, what's that prayer? Please remove anybody that does not belong. And you'll be surprised the people that, get removed when you say, you say that prayer. And it possibly could even be family. Sometimes family do you worse than family do you worse than, a stranger. And I'm learning that. I'm definitely learning that. And I've learned that relatives, the difference between family and relatives. Relatives are by blood. Family is the people who's going to support you. They're going to let you know. They're going to tell you when your ish stink. But it's all out of, it's all out of love. And I'm thankful for my tribe, and my support system. It was kind of hard because sometimes when you're used to people telling you out of malice and not kindness, I had to learn and decipher, are they being malice or they actually being kind and want to see me do better, But like I said, I've always been, this is like the first time that I've really like been at peace, and my nervous system is like really regulated. I'm not waiting for the shoe to drop. I'm not waiting for somebody to backstab me. whatever. And I'm working through that. That's why I say the birthing room has definitely been definitely important to me because, like I said, it's helping me working through that trauma of trusting in, hey, accountability and recognizing when somebody is being kind or somebody is being malice as uh hmm, do I have anything else? um like I want to say to everybody, thank you for ev- mm, I just want to anybody thank from the bottom of let me say this. I say from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you to everybody who has supported me even through the technical difficulties, even through the days of me not feeling well when I had to change through, switch, all the reschedules. It means so much. Even when nobody's on here, I've learned through, well, what I hope I say right. One of my good, one of my good supporters, Miss Rebecca, like she would always say, do it tired, do it when you don't want to, and keep going. Cause sometimes, it be tired, especially with podcasting. It's like, some views go up, and I think, some views be up, some views be down, and it gets now. I don't even really care, because some people catch it. More people catch it. I'm learning, working through the process because it's definitely a process. And, more people catch it on YouTube and more people listen than watch. And I appreciate everybody who is, whether you watch it on YouTube, listening on Apple Podcasts, what is it? Spotify, or you're catching the replay on YouTube. I appreciate y'all from the bottom. It makes me feel so special because I know this is a part of my purpose. As much as sometimes I retire and don't want to do it, I have to do it. I have to keep going because I know eventually it's going to grow into something. Because how am I know what is it going to grow into if I stop? So as I say, thanks for tuning in and catch me next Sunday. Same time, same place, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And as I always say, spread love, peace, because there's enough negativity in the world. And I will catch you next time.